Is anything so bad that you would want to disappear and never be tracked down? Here are some of the most insane stories of people who faked their own deaths. Arthur Bennett. Arthur Bennett was a Marine Staff Sergeant who was accused of sexual assault charges in 1994. In February of the same year, his trailer burnt to the ground and a charred body was found, and officials assumed he was dead. With the help of his family, Bennett moved to Hurricane, Utah, dyed his hair red, and wore blue contacts over his brown eyes, and taking the name of Joe Benson. He was eventually accused of molesting his daughters and a neighbor's daughter when his fingerprints were run and his identity was discovered. He was arrested in 1997, pled guilty in 1998, and had to deal with being court-martialed in 1999. In 1999, he hung himself in his cell. The charred body from 1994? It was never identified. Ken Kesey. Ken Kesey is best known for being the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and he was also an active participant in the CIA's program studying the effects of LSD. Kesey was arrested for possessing marijuana in 1965 and decided to fake his own death to avoid jail time. Kesey's friends helped smuggle him to Mexico, where he lived for 8 months. It wasn't until he tried re-entering the United States when he was arrested and put in jail for 5 months. Benny Wint. Benny Wint thought he was a wanted man on drug charges, so on the night before his wedding to a woman named Patricia Hollingsworth in 1989, he went for a swim and never came back. He left behind a fiancée, an ex-wife, and a young son, all who mourned him. 20 years later, he confessed to his fake death after being pulled over for a broken bulb. Turns out he remarried and had a 17-year-old son, all while living under the name William Sweet. Philip SESSARAGO. Philip SESSARAGO was in the Royal Artillery when he was rejected from the Special Air Service twice. He faked his own death in 1993 while claiming to detonate a bomb in Bosnia. He took on the name of Ton Keru and even wrote a book called Jihad, which was released the day before 9/11. The timing was perfect as Keru claimed to be an expert on the terrorist attacks, which led to a lot of interviews. SESSARAGO was found out when his own children recognized him in the midst of all the publicity. Alison Matera. Alison Matera was a part of a church that she wanted out of. Instead of just telling the pastor that she wanted to leave, she told the church members that she was dying of cancer. She kept up the lie for a year and finally stopped going to church. She told the congregation that she had checked into hospice to die. She posed as a nurse and called the pastor to tell him that Matera had died. Then he received a call from Matera herself posing as a family member making the funeral arrangements. On the day of the funeral, Matera showed up posing as her sister. The church wasn't fooled, and cops arrived at Matera's apartment where she finally confessed to the lie. William Grothe. The story of William Grothe is odd in the fact that he poses his own murderer. He was a prominent attorney in Nashville at the time of his disappearance on November 19, 2008. After his wife reported him missing and the police found his wallet and leather jacket. To make sure he came across as surely dead, he called police claiming to be his own murderer on November 24th. Unfortunately for Grothe, police matched his voice to his outgoing voicemail message and he was found in Missoula, Missouri. Gandharubin Subramaniam. Gandharubin Subramaniam's car rental business in Singapore went under and he faked his own death in 1987, thus allowing his wife to collect over $250,000 in life insurance. He remarried his wife in Sri Lanka using a phony name and passport and even fathered a 4th child. He was eventually caught trying to re-enter into Singapore in 2007. He was jailed for 3 years and his wife divorced him. Corey Taylor. We can relate to Corey Taylor in the fact that we don't like paying our cell phone bills. He was so irate with the service and not wanting to pay his cell phone bill to Verizon that he had a friend fax a doctor death certificate to the cell phone company. Eventually, Verizon found out and Taylor had to pay the $175 that he owed them. He tried to be a champion for the disgruntled consumer and said, "I bet I sent a definite message about how much people hate being strapped to a cell phone that doesn't work." Hugo Jose Sanchez. Hugo Jose Sanchez worked for HMV, a major British retail store. He pretended to die of a heart attack so he could move his family to Costa Rica. HMV bought the lie and moved his family to Ecuador, and his wife started benefiting from his pension. However, the ruse was exposed when one of Sanchez's friends tried to use his HMV discount card and tried to call Sanchez from the police station. Hugo hung up as soon as the call was received, and the police were able to track the call and find Sanchez to arrest him. Lord Timothy Dexter. Lord Timothy Dexter was born in 1748 and wrote a book at the age of 50 called A Pickle for the Knowing Ones, or Plain Truths in a Homespun Dress. While he had to give away his book at first, it eventually became popular and was reprinted in 8 editions. He He wondered what people would do if he died, so he wrote his own death announcement and had it printed in the paper. Over 3,000 people showed up to his fake funeral. He was upset that his wife didn't openly grieve or cry, and later reappeared to beat her with a cane. We hope you enjoyed this video. Here's a couple of the videos that we think you might be into, and while you're here, please don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thanks!